Hey y'all, boa noite. Feliz quinta-feira. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Hope you all are doing well. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday. And boy, have I got a story to tell. Hey. But before I get to the stories, I'm going to say hi. I'm Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Black Sit Global and the host of the Black Sit Global podcast, which is in season 7. We are coming almost to the end of season 7. I have 2 more episodes, so one more with a guest, and then I close out the season. So we're almost at the end of season 7. Gosh, it went by fast. But yeah, it was 6 months since we started the season of the show. So hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast this season. I just dropped a new episode on Monday. It features Marissa Price, who is a friend to the channel. I will be speaking at the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women in just a few weeks, y'all. So get your tickets. It's not too late. It's not too late. Actually, here I go with my linkies. And then I'm going to say hi to everybody in the chat. So yeah, I got story time for y'all today. Y'all love story time. So I was like, this is a good story time. So let me say hi to y'all in the chat. Hopefully you can see and hear me. Hey, Jametta was first in the chat. How you doing, girlfriend? Hey, Pinky. Hey, K Renee. Wendy's in the house. Hey, Meg. I know. Where you been? Where you been, Meg? Hey, Marcus. How are you? How are you? Patricia. Hey, the coding nurse. Hey. How are you? Hi, Evelyn. Panama City, Panama. Oh my gosh. Wow. Very nice. Yes. Hey, Jay. What up? What up? All right. Let's see. Got a little error message. Oh, we have some of our channel members in the chat. Hey, Greta. How you doing? Hey, and Cheryl. How are you? How are you? Hey, Susan. How are you? Kim is here. Hey, June. Hey, the Spencers. Hey. Hey. Hey, Kim. Hey, Kevin. Yeah, oof. I'm telling you, it's going to be a good story time. So get your favorite beverage. Greta Cobb is in the house. Casper, Chanel. Hey, look, I know. I was there for a long time. I lived in Albany a long time. You'll get to the promised land, I promise. Hey, Evelyn just became a channel member. Hey. Welcome to the club. Hey. Thank you for joining. Hey, Michelle. Hey, roaming around with Allison Rowe. Yes, roaming around. I love it. Michelle is here. Yes, look, I'm starring the questions. So yes, I'm starring the questions. I see Gabrielle put her question in the chat, and wait, we have 2 late. Evelyn. Oh, okay, it showed up twice. Okay, all right. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, so what else did I have to share? I mean, before we get into story time. Oh yes. So Black Sit Global is turning 5 this year. Well, it's officially May, right? Today's May 1st. So Black Sit Global turns 5 next month in June because Black Sit Global had to be in my birthday month, which is June next month. Can you believe it? Next month I'm going to be 51. Sheesh, it feels like just yesterday I was celebrating my 50th. And I'm like, damn, a year went by that fast. It's like now that I'm abroad, it feels like time is speeding up when I wanted to slow down a little bit. You know, I'm getting back in my routine. Now the Portuguese class is done. I'm taking my naps again, getting my rest. Little less time in the streets these days. I'm going to be in the streets this weekend. But I'm like, resettling. And then I'm going to be flying. I've got a lot of travel this month and next month. So I'm kind of resting up because I know It's travel season. I mean, I'm retired, so it's always travel season. But yeah, so Blacks the Global's turning 5. And we're throwing a party in October. So we have 2 events that are publicized. Still working on the 3rd, but most likely it's happening. So if you're going to be in town, you just might as well just stay in town. So the first is going to be our Black Sea Global 5-year anniversary party. Yay! It is a sunset yacht cruise. Yes, yes, yes. Love it, love it. On the same yacht as my birthday. Because, I loved that yacht. It was a beautiful yacht. It was magnificent. So y'all have been buying these tickets like crazy. So luckily there are still tickets available. Now, the price has changed because those were early birds. So first movers had first mover advantage. Those that waited still got good pricing, but it's a little slightly more expensive than it was a couple days ago. But yes, there's space. Working on the playlist, we're gonna have some boots on the ground. Ho, ho, ho. I mean, like, we've got former guests coming, we've got aspiring expats, we've got Black expats from all over the world. People are coming for this thing. I was like, oh my goodness. So I'm excited. Then the next day, we have Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow, the co-founders of Exodus Summit, will be in Lisbon, Portugal. So we are going to serve up a nice meetup for y'all. Woo, woo, woo. Now those tickets, that's a restaurant, that's a dinner. So the yacht party is going to be like Portuguese wine tasting. We're going to have a couple wines, some light bites, so everybody can get their groove on. Not a full meal, just some light bites. Lots of music, lots of dancing, watching the sunset from a yacht. But the other event the next day is a full-on meal, right? So those tickets are still available. However, space is limited. We still got room to run on the yacht, but space is limited. So I'm going to drop some links so that y'all can start getting your tickets, because for some of you, it's your first time hearing it. Although if you're on a mailing list, the people that signed up for the wait list got to know early. The people that are in our passport community and our YouTube folks. Just so we stop counting after 50. I don't stop counting. What? No. My great grandma, she lived to be, I think it was 110. And I met her, I was in high school. So, I mean, I'm not saying I want to stay around that long. I mean, if I could still do boots on the ground, yes. But, but I'm okay. I'm proud. Like, do. But yeah, I'm like, dang, 51 went quick, right? So we're going to be celebrating that. And then that weekend might involve some, well, I shouldn't say the car because we might not get that car, but I'll put a pin on the story. I'll put a pin on what else might happen that weekend. Just know, if you planning to come to Lisbon, just say October is going to be your month. Ticket prices on airplanes usually more favorable. Hotel prices, Airbnbs are usually more favorable because we're in the off season or starting to be, in the down season. So, get your coinage ready. Get your coinage ready. Okay. So I think that was the big bit, right? So I gave you the link for the meetup. Niyat. Am I forgetting anything else? No. Okay. So let's get into it. Dang. 9 minutes already. Okay. I got to speed this up. So you have heard there was a big old blackout on Monday. And baby, I got some stories to tell. There's certain things that are or have been, I think, to some degree misrepresented in the media, especially US media, about what happened. And then I have my own personal story, right? Like what happened to me and for a baby who's sitting on my lap. So we're going to talk all about it. So on Monday, right, at about 11:30-ish, 11:40 a.m. my time in Lisbon. Uh, it just boop, it went out. So I was on my couch. I have a recliner. That's my favorite spot in the house. I enjoy being fully reclined. And I was watching because I had just started the day before a trial subscription to start watching Godfather of Harlem. So I'm like into this, and I was like, oh, my plan was I was going to get up and I was going to go into the city to El Cortes Inglés, have lunch, get some gelato because I have been wanting gelato. Spoiler alert, I still haven't had my gelato. And I was going to spend part of the day there and then come home. But I got so pulled in to Godfather of Harlem, and it was down to the last, 2 minutes of this episode. And right when it was getting to like the end of the episode, it froze. So I'm like, what the hell? Because I was like, oh, I should stop it. I should get in the shower and like get ready to go. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I'm like, messing with my phone. And then I get a text, and I don't know if she is in the chat. She's not in the chat. So I was going to text my friend. And then a few minutes later, I was like, oh, let me text her and let her know I lost power. Because I wasn't meeting anybody that day, but I was like, oh, let me let her know I lost power. So I went to send the message in WhatsApp, and it just kind of had the little watch like it wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So then I was like, oh, you know what? Let me get down and, so I went to press the recline button, and my recliner did not go down. And I was like, oh, so we lost power. But I have lost power in my building before. It's a brand new building, but I've lost power before. So I was like, this has happened maybe twice since I've lived here. So I was like, okay, no big deal. It'll probably come on like an hour or two. No big deal. Okay. So maybe about 2-3 minutes after that, I got a text from Yolanda, Locating Cozy. If you watch her YouTube channel, she is in Zaragoza, Spain. So she's like, hey, we don't have power in Spain. And I'm like, wait a second. It went from, Krishan, this just might be your building to, oh shit. Like in 5 minutes. And I was like, oh dear God, right? So then I think back to a couple weeks before, right? Okay, let's see if my little thing, because little mama's she's walking around doing her thing. Where okay, we all got this alert, right? This message. Let's see. Let me make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay, so not Sanjay Gupta, but where are we? Okay, let me scroll a little bit. Okay, so it says the EU urges citizens and residents to stockpile 72 hours worth of supplies amid war risk, right? Now, this was dated March 25th, okay, right? This incident happened a few days ago. And I'm like, damn it, right? What the hell? Like, that's what you're supposed to be paid. And I think I even shared this. I might have even shared this post in the Blacks Global Passport community. Yeah, Nichelle, it was the whole country, right? So now I'm like, oh, damn. The one time, because it's not to say this wasn't, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I just did not act. So that's one thing I did not do right. So I'm like, oh, shit. Don't tell me this is happening. So my messages are still not going through. So then 2 minutes later, so this is all before noon, right? This happened at 11:35, 11:40. Between 11:40 and 11:50, I go from, oh, I can't get my recliner down. This is just my building to, oh, wait, Spain has no power, to then 2 minutes later getting a message through WhatsApp from my friend in the US whose daughter lives in Portugal and she moved last year with her husband. They're only the next neighborhood over. So she's like, "Hey, Janae said y'all ain't got no power. You okay?" And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm okay, but what's going on? Because I can't get any messages. Like some things are going through, some things are not, right? Can you send me what's going on?" And thankfully, and I have to say this, thankfully, she was able to pull down like this like long missive of what happened. And let me see if I have my phone, I can probably read it. And because she copied the text and put that in the message, I was able to read it. A lot of people were putting links when things were coming through that were links to articles. We had no internet, we had no phone. Cell phone service was sporadic at best because mine, it stopped altogether. It was no traffic lights, no nothing. So, excuse me, I probably should have brought more water in here for this. So, what did she send? Okay. As of Monday, April 28th, a widespread power outage is currently affecting Portugal and parts of Spain. Multiple news sources confirm that this is a significant event impacting numerous regions across both countries, though the cause remains undetermined at this time. Affected areas, and they list like, Lisbon in Spain. The outage has been reported in the Navarre region, other unspecified areas. The power outage is widespread, affecting daily life and essential services. Hospitals have activated emergency generators to maintain critical functions. Traffic systems have been affected, with reports of non-functioning traffic lights in Spain. Telecommunications have been disrupted. Many businesses, commercial establishments, have been forced to close temporarily. Internet services appear to still be functioning in certain areas. Websites of electricity providers, such as eRedes in Portugal, are reportedly unavailable, making it difficult for residents to get information about the outage. And then it goes on to say there are no confirmed causes of today's outage. It's worth noting that the Iberian blackouts have occurred in the past because we are part of the Iberian Peninsula. A previous major outage in 2021 was caused by a forest fire in France that forced the disconnection of power to interconnections supplying Spain and Portugal. So this is what has happened in like 20 minutes. And I'm like, punch in the air. Damn, right? Also, this was Monday. I think it was Friday. Last Friday, I had gone to Quake, which is the Earthquake Museum in Lisbon. And it's an interactive museum about the 1755 earthquake. Now, the 1755 earthquake in Portugal was significant. Why? Because it was an earthquake that was, reports said lasted 3 to 6 minutes. It also, in terms of intensity, because 1755, they didn't really have the same technologies they have today, but it's reported that it might have been close to 9, right, magnitude, which is significant. So for 3 to 6 minutes, and the grid of what we know to be Lisbon did not exist. So the town was just laid out differently. So it obliterated pretty much most of Lisbon. 90 minutes after the earthquake, there was a tsunami that came and flooded the city. And subsequently, fires ravaged the city. Like 85% of the city was gone. And so it happened on November 1st, 1755. Why is it important? Because it was All Saints' Day. And 1755, they didn't have the lights and everything like that the way they do in modern times. So All Saints' Day, Catholic country, they were lighting candles all over the place. Now you have earthquake, knocking over stuff, curtains, tablecloths, shit's burning down. Then people rushed to the water, right? Tsunami comes, blah, blah. So at the end of this exhibit, it takes you into this museum store, which is all emergency preparedness stuff, right? They've got the flashlights, the whistles, the this, the that, the da-da-da-da. This was Friday. We had lights out on Monday. Now you would think Krishan would have bought some supplies, right? I had warnings, right? We had the article I just showed you. Friday, I'm like, oh yeah, right? Let me go to the Earthquake Museum. And then in full transparency, in my former life, I used to volunteer for the Red Cross as a disaster preparedness trainer. And so I used to do this for a couple of years, actually. I used to run large scale trainings for the Red Cross, particularly in Harlem, right? Because it's proximity to the East River, all this other stuff. You're like, really? No, gosh, probably ways ago, another life. But that's what I did. So when I was in the States, I had my go bag, even during COVID, I had everything. My go bag, my crank flashlight, the solar thing, the whistle, had my Swiss Army knife, everything, Mylar blankets, the whole bit. When I moved, I gave most of that to my mom, obviously got rid of anything that was expired. And in terms of being here, it was always like something I should get around to. So when I was at the museum on Friday, I was like, oh yeah, I know, I got to get around to that. That was the thought. Walked out of the museum. Fast forward to Monday, mayhem, right? Mayhem. The girl was warned. So the thing I did right, I always, I'm anal about this, right? I always carry a backup charger. It's always in my purse. It's always on my person. Wherever I go, going to the store, whatever, going around the world, whatever, right? This one in particular, I love because I don't have the thing for this one. I don't think a plug that can illuminate it. But anyway, what I like about it is I can, let's see if I can hold it right. So I can charge my computer and then I have a fast charger, a slow charger, right? So it has USB and then USB-C. So I can charge my computer. I can charge, pretty much anything. And then for the folks that have like Androids and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, you got an iPhone, got the chargers, multiple chargers. So USB, 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 USB-C, right? You got the Android thingy. And then, because Apple is always changing shit, the lightning plug. It's got everything all in one. I carry this sucker all the time. If I'm out and my phone is running low, because I don't let it go all the way down, I charge it. As soon as I get home, if I know I've used it, I plug it back in, we get back to 100, like steady. So my phone was mostly charged, but again, it was working hard because I still had searching for Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh, let me turn that off, start turning off things so it's not pulling, background apps and all that stuff. And I'm still trying to get information. So because of who I am, what I do, I'm in quite a few groups. So I'm getting sporadic notifications from other people. Now, one thing I will say about this, and part of this is human nature. But in this age of misinformation, we have to be better as a society. We cannot be, especially in group forums or on social media, right? So we have to be responsible for ourselves. Spread misinformation because I saw things like cyber attack, it's 15 countries involved, blah, 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 right? Unless you are, and I guess maybe because of how I think, like, unless you are citing a credible source, I don't believe you, right? Because I know people panic. I, by nature, am the best person you want in a crisis because I stay calm. It might be a trauma response. It might be something from my past, no doubt, that has enabled me to just be even keel. But I don't freak out. I just don't. It's like, what you going to do? So I just was like, okay, well, I got my phone. The dog is here. Thankfully, the day before on Sunday, I had just gone to the grocery store. I had loaded up on water. Thankfully, my grocery store is right outside my building. So I look out my building and I see people going through the grocery store because I face the back of the grocery store and the parking lot. So when that gate is up, I know the store is open. And so people were still going in and out of continent. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go in continent because I have food. And I also don't keep a large amount of food in my house because the store is right across the street. It's like me having a mini fridge, even though I have a full size fridge, but I think of it that way. It's like, okay, this is my little mini fridge. And then I just go into the big fridge, which is the store when I need some. So I don't stock up on like meats. If I'm going to buy something perishable, I plan to eat it that day. So thankfully, I didn't have to worry about things. But I had a couple things in there. I was like, oh, I have some salmon, I have some meat. I was like, oh, you know what? After a while, I should put it in the freezer if this goes on much longer. And then thankfully, I had a big bag of ice in my freezer. So I put like my mayonnaise. I remember I moved like the salmon and yogurt, some things that I knew I needed to, in case this went on for like more than a day, like subsist. And thankfully, when my brother was here a few weeks ago, he brought me this big ass thing of peanut butter from Costco. So I was good, right? I had bread, I had peanut butter, I had tuna, I had, salmon I had cooked the day before and water. I was good. And then with my phone, I was like, well, again, everybody would get like a message, and then it would be an hour before the next message would come. And then everything else, anything I was sending would just stay in queue, which was like, oh my gosh. And so it was just like, okay, is this an attack? But thankfully, where I live near the airport. So I could see, right, no more planes in the sky and the tower beacons, right? Like nothing, nothing. And I'm like, ooh, Jesus, like this is crazy. And I thought to myself, what am I grateful for? Couple things. I was grateful that I was home when this happened because I thought, at least I'm home. I'm safe. I know where I am, right? At least I have food, water, the toilet was working, there's water in the apartment. At least I had Bailey to keep me company, right? And I was grateful that I wasn't in the elevator, which I could have. I could have been in the elevator going out, which was my original plan. I could have been in the elevator with her. And imagine being stuck, which amounted to 12 hours before power came back on, with no food, no water for myself or my animal. That would have been horrible, right? And no cell service, because even with everything working, the cell phone is dead in my building, and I guess some buildings around Portugal, because these buildings are made out of concrete, because they have high earthquake. When they rebuilt the city after 1755, Marquês de Pombal, look it up. the buildings in Portugal are constructed in such a way to withstand an earthquake, right? So I'm like, oh, I could have been in the elevator. I could have also been in the metro because there were stories of, and I did see one picture of people that were stuck in the metro in the subways. Blackout, right? It was a warm day that day. It was 77 degrees that day. So imagine being in a packed subway, no air, underneath, no electricity, between stations, right? Can't get out. People that speak Portuguese, people that are tourists that are coming through, like, then I was grateful that I wasn't traveling. I was grateful that I was not at the airport. Imagine being in a plane in the air, now air traffic control, like what's going on? Imagine being on the tarmac, can't get to the jetway because there's no electricity to the jet bridge. Imagine waiting for your luggage in the carousel and then it just stops, right? Ubers, people couldn't get Ubers. Why? Because everything was down. GPS, oh, nothing was working, y'all. Nothing, no thing, no thing, nothing. Taxis, the buses were packed. The buses were running. They were packed. So I had to think like what I was grateful for. And, human nature is human nature. I had to take my cues. It's like I'm not proficient in the language, but I can observe human nature. And I was like, as long as these Portuguese people ain't running through the streets screaming, we good. They're like, no, fish mile, right? So I'm just watching. So now fast forward, the last text message I had gotten was on WhatsApp was around 2:30. That's when all of the groups, like everything went quiet. And my guess was that the cell towers that were running probably had some residual generator or something like that. But after a while, they stopped. The gate to the continent came down. I'm assuming Lido was still open because I did see some people that were still walking. But I stayed inside with Bailey because the buildings, as in much of Portugal, have motion sensor, motion activated lights. So when the blackout first happened, I looked in the hall and I knew our reserve power was still on was on because I can see in the hallway. After a couple hours, it was pitch black. And then I was like, oh, and my thought was, I've never been in the stairwell in my building. Well, with the exception of when I'm in my parking garage, when I rent a car and engage in, but only to go from underground up, never from my floor down. And so I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Thankfully, like I said, my cell phone was charged, right? You just activate the little light, right? Little flashlight. Sorry, y'all. Little flashlight. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have my flashlight and me and this puppy, we're gonna go downstairs. So thankfully, because I'm in a new building, the stairwell is quite wide. And so I saw, neighbor going down, didn't know the person, which was weird because I pretty much know everybody in the building. But so going down the stairwell, we made it down, go out the building. I walked her, gave her a good walked all the way to the park. Kids were playing. People were playing games in the street, throwing the ball. Some parents were picking up kids from school because they were like, oh, now function now, saying like the cell phones weren't working. And some people did have cell service, depending on their carrier. And so I was just like, okay, just trying to take my visual cues and then what I could discern. And I was thinking, damn, you know what? I should have prioritized getting at least what I used to have, which was the Red Cross like crank radio. So you just crank it because I had a lot of power outages in New Jersey. And then it had like the last one I had like a little solar panel at the top, but those solar ones, they're trash. Because remember, solar needs the sun. What happens when it's dark? And it doesn't hold the charge forever. Crank ones are actually better. But my old radio had a crank radio, so a terrestrial radio, had a flashlight, an alarm. I could charge my cell phone, the whole bit. So it's like, I got to prioritize getting that. So Bailey and I went outside. We came back in the building. And I said, okay, we're going to hunker down until if it still goes on, right? One of the messages, last message I had seen said something about it could be up to 10 hours. I was like, oof, well, it started at 11:30. So I was like, oh, hopefully it's not that. So I was like, well, if that's the case, let me at least, plan how we're going to go through these next couple hours. So I took a nap. I read. I remembered I had solitaire on my iPad. I played that for a little while, took another nap. Bailey was sleeping. Then around 7-ish, I was like, okay, I should take you out one more time because my thought was if this goes overnight, everybody's been calm, everybody's been, jubilant outside, nobody's panicked or anything. But I said, my American, I grew up in the Bronx came through. And I was like, well, Sean, they are nice, well-meaning people and all, but what happens when it's night? We ain't got no street lights, no nothing. So I was like, look, we got to take this dog out one more time before it gets dark. So I took her, right? Still had a charge on my phone. We go down the stairs. So I go down the stairs, and in my building, it's electric. So the door is actually electric. So you either need the physical key or you push the door, or you push, or you have to buzz. Most buildings in Portugal are like that. And then to get in, I have a key fob. I have a manual key, right? So anyway, we go outside the building because I'd already walked it one time. Go outside the building, and then there's underground parking, as I mentioned. And I happened to look down, and this guy had his car, and he was pulling the gate closed because I always wondered, like, ooh, that gate is electronic too. But thankfully, I guess in an event like this, it releases. So I finished she finishes doing her thing, starting to get, much darker. I'm like, okay, let's go back to the door. And the door won't open. And I'm like, wait a second. Oh, the door was open before, but I remembered it wasn't closed all the way. It was partially ajar. This time it was closed. And so I'm like, okay, no big deal. Let me take my manual key out because I have a manual key to the door. Don't you know that key is not on my keychain? Now I'm like, oh my God, is it on the extra set I have in the house? Or is it in the extra set that Janae has, which is again the next neighborhood over, but that's a walk. And I'm like, oh, and no cell service. So I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna get in this building? And on a normal day, I know people come in and out of my building. All of us walk the dogs around the same time. We're all on around the same routine because the dogs play. So I'm like, yeah, but they might be thinking like me. Like, we ain't walking these dogs when it's get dark, right? So I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I'm locked out. So I'm like, oh, the guy pulled the gate. So I go down to the gate, the big, gate, and I pull the door open, go in through the garage, and we walk up the stairs. And yeah, and so we're able to get back in. And so Bailey and I get in the house, right? And for the first time, because like I said, sun's going down, it's getting a little cooler. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's get some fresh air. I open my balcony. I have a balcony. So I go outside and I'm, looking around, and then, I have a sofa out there. And so I sit and I'm like, what else am I grateful for? So I'm like, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm not in America. Like this did not happen there. Like a countrywide blackout or multiple countrywide blackout, this many hours, baby. Lights or no lights. It'd have been looting, shooting, dooting, pooting, all the things, right? And then I had, my laughter moment, right? I was like, Bailey, we've been through a global pandemic together. I done moved you from the US here. And now we're in this thing, where whatever this thing is. I was like, this is like out of a movie, right? Which you survive the apocalypse, and it's you and your dog. And I'm like, well, if I had to think about who I was gonna go through with this shit, it's gonna be you, my faithful companion. So I'm cracking myself up. And of course, I got my wine too. Another thing I did right. Uh, so I get up and I look over the balcony, and to my right, now at this point, it's about 8:20 p.m. So we're what? I don't know, 9-ish hours into this whole thing. 8:30 p.m. I look to my right. The building next to me is lit up like a Christmas tree. And I'm like, what the how, how Sway? Was you always like that? Then I look, the street lights, right? I'm like, oh. And then as I'm looking in the distance, which is Lourdes, I see that literally pop up. I look straight ahead, the airport beacons up. I'm like, oh. And then to my far left, the next set of buildings, they're lit up like Christmas trees. And I'm like, what? So then I'm like, okay. And then the continent, I can see the parking sign was lit. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is good, right? But where I am, the new buildings, pitch black. So I'm like, okay, this is a good sign. They're not going to put everybody up at the same point because you got to start thinking like higher order things. You can't put a whole daggone country on the grid at the same time. That's crazy, right? We'll all lose power. So it's like, okay, they're phasing it in, no problem, but things are moving. So then I got a message from my daughter who asked me if she's like, do they still sell melanin hair care? Now, mind you, this whole time I'm like, oh, my mom's probably watching the news. I wasn't thinking the kids as much because, they're in school, they're working. I'm like, they're probably not tuned into the news. But I was like, oh, my mom, I call her every day around the same time. Or my brother who was just here probably was like, oh, I said, oh, no, I finally got a text message from her. Some of my other messages started coming through. So I said, oh, we've been without power for 10 hours. You have? One thing I can say about my family and how they relate with me is I think because they know like how I am, I said like I'm a good person to have in a crisis. They're like, she'll be all right. She'll be all right. I was like, nobody was panicked. They were like, yeah, that girl, she good. She good. So then now it's like dark. And I said, okay, right now it's like 10-ish. Still 3 buildings, like things around us are starting to get lit up, but nothing. And then I said, okay, we're just going to sleep on the couch because, we are getting some light because I can't show you from where I am now, but I have blackout curtains, right? In the whole apartment. And so I always keep my room dark. So I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to be in the dark. So I said, okay, we'll sleep out here. So we started making a little bed for ourselves on the couch. I'm drifting off to sleep. Then about 11:10, you hear like you would have thought that somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo scored like the winning goal in football, right? Which is soccer for you Americans, right? But football. It was like right? Because the lights came on, and I'm like, and then my house like boom, choom, dum, dum. Ding, ding. I'm like, oh my God, oh my Jesus, right? And then we were back. Oh man. So that was the full story. Okay. So, like I said, things I did right. I had water, right? I had backup battery. I probably should have said that at the top, like, oh, stay till the end. There's more. I had, my phone can double as a flashlight. But there were certain things, and I did have some cash, which I rarely carry any. I had $25 in cash because the ATMs actually, I didn't even check today, but the ATMs up until at least yesterday, because I didn't check today, still have no cash. They got wiped out. Not because people were stealing, but because people were withdrawing money from the ATMs while they had power, right? So, but the ATMs around, I went into Lisbon, around where I live, none of the ATMs have cash. None, right? Because the past couple things I've had to pay for, I had to electronically send money, cannot get cash. There's no cash. So, oh my gosh, you are funny. Um, Action BJ, he's in Portugal, he's in Lisbon. He said here in Cheery too. Y'all are funny. Oh my gosh. So funny. So I should have said this at the beginning when I started story time. Like, stay to the end. There's more. So I wanted to run through the whole story in its entirety, one, so you could hear it from me firsthand. And I do appreciate, and I want to say thank you to everybody who sent me messages to my phone number, those of you who had it, some of you who are posting in groups or YouTube and things like that. I received all of the messages. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your concern. It meant a lot, right? And that's why I wanted to also share the full story. But I also wanted to also have it as a teachable moment, because this is a teachable moment. We live in a time where natural disasters can happen, man-made, right? Disasters, wartime, cyber attacks. I was caught unprepared, even though there were warning signs, right? The EU had just made that announcement in March. I was at the Earthquake Museum on Friday, right? Still had an opportunity, literally had an opportunity, had not. I saw that Shar, our friend Shar Winter, who's the creator of the expat app, she actually had purchased, she was smart. She read the warning from the EU and bought some stuff. She had purchased a portable gas grill. And so she was able to cook. I have electric in my home. And so, it was just whatever was in the fridge, right? Luckily, because I don't keep a lot of food and I had a lot of ice, I was able to, for anything that was perishable, and it held. I'm like, give it up for the appliances, because there was nothing that lost its temperature. I was impressed. I had meat in there. I cooked up, been eating it. It stayed frozen in 12 hours. I was like, impressive. So that was cool. Yes, right. Canada cuts the power, all kinds of things, right? So now I guess this half of the conversation is going to be, about things that I could have done differently and things to help you. So, okay. So I'm just looking at my notes. So I wanted to go through this. I wanted to share. So how am I going to present this? So this, right, is an emergency preparedness checklist, because this is going to step you through the things that you need to have. Because this made me think about, like, okay, Krishan, take what I've learned as someone who used to do this training, and then also what I've learned from this event, and how do I help other people, right? So things that you should do and why community is so important. If I didn't have community here, I would not have known what was going on, right? If I didn't get that text from Yolanda, I would not have known that Spain was impacted. If I didn't have my girlfriend in the States whose daughter was here, right? If I wasn't in those groups, I wouldn't have had more information about what was going on, right? But what's so important, and what we all realized, is that even though most of us live in Lisbon, some of us, in other areas of the country, we all didn't have service after a while. So we didn't have after a while, we didn't have a way to communicate with one another. So one thing that I would teach in emergency preparedness is to know phone numbers. We have gotten in this technological world, myself included, guilty as charged, we have gotten lazy. We don't commit numbers to memory, right? When we were younger, I don't mind dating myself, aging myself, right? We used to write numbers down. The numbers are chunked in a certain way. Like in Europe, there are threes, but in the States, it was 3, 3, and 4. But they're chunked so that you can remember them, right? It's a pattern. Now we've completely bypassed that part of our brain. We don't write it down and we don't commit it to memory. We do, I'm guilty of it as well. Oh, what's your QR code? Scan, right? Or hand your phone to someone for them to put their number in. You save it, you move on. We don't know numbers. So if I were out and I needed to, and I didn't have my phone, or I needed to get a hold of one of my friends, I don't have their phone numbers committed to memory. Any of them, right? So that was a teachable moment. The other thing to keep in mind, I do know what the number here is, but when you're traveling around the world, right? Whether you're traveling around the world, you're planning to move abroad, know the emergency numbers, right? Here in Portugal is 112. In the US, it's 911. But what is it in France? What is it in Italy? What is it in Kenya, right? What are those emergency service numbers? Where's the closest pharmacy? Do you have small cash, right? Do you have backup chargers that can charge your device or devices, right? Like I said, I knew I could charge if need be my phone, my laptop, someone else's device if need be. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is, especially when you're living in a foreign country and you don't speak the language, is it's important to have, I realize, a terrestrial radio. If I had a terrestrial radio, like a transistor radio or something, I would have been able to listen to the news. But because I'm in my house and I have, devices and stuff like that, I use my phone, right? So there was a gap in my ability to know what was going on based on the fact that I didn't have another source. We're dependent on these devices. So what are the things that you can do to protect yourself? Some have said, oh, you should get a sat phone, right? And those are available. They're very expensive, but that's an alternative for sure. And, God forbid, if something happens to the satellite, you got a bigger problem, right? There's a bigger problem in the world going on if the satellites go down. But there's that, right? What else? Oh, for locals, you should have a local meeting spot. If you have a couple friends, especially when you're abroad, most of the time, reality is you're going to commune most likely with either Black people, English speakers, some type of affinity, right? You should have a plan. What's your central meeting spot? That if something pops off, we agree to meet here so that we all know we're safe. Like if it's something that's, larger scale. So that's important. Let's see what else. Let me look at my list, right? It said portable flashlight, copies of your passport. Again, if you're a foreigner in a foreign country, you might need to go via another method of transportation. You still have to prove your citizenship, right? Local maps. This was important because there were stories that I saw about people who were stuck at the airport who had just gotten off of planes. They may have only had the currency of their home country. and didn't have euros, then they couldn't access euros because, like I said, ATMs were out of money. And then all the services were down. So how do you orient yourself in a city and you don't know, like, who has maps these days, right? Sometimes they're hard to come by, especially when everybody's in the same situation. There were people that were able to access offline maps either through Google or through Waze. So have an offline map available, stored to your device if possible. That's going to be really helpful for you. Um, like I said, small bills are really important. And then have a plan for how you're going to access currency once you get to a safe space. Is it through having a Wise account where you can have access to multiple currencies? That would come in handy if you were in a place or a case like the tourists that were here. They could have, if they had like like my Wise account is I think New Zealand dollar, the US dollar, euro, and I think the British pound. I have 4 currencies in my account. So I know that if I'm in one of those scenarios, I have a way of paying for things. A SIM card, backup SIM card. We talked about the sat phones, talked about the gas stoves. Securing your documents. So having a scanned copy of your passport or birth certificate or other residency card, putting it in a waterproof bag is going to be helpful because some natural disasters, as I started telling you about the 1755 quake and tsunami, right, involve water. So how do you think about that? Also, shelf-stable food. I remember when I was living in New Jersey, there was a store called REI, and they sold like those camper foods or foods that they use in space. So those pre-made type of camping foods that have long shelf life, that pack a punch, right? They have protein, things that you need to subsist. I had, peanut butter. Mm, excuse me. It's also good to know where your closest hospital is, where the closest hospital urgent care is. What if you have a fall? What if you sustain an injury, right? How are you going to seek treatment? Having a first aid kit is going to be really important, and so those are the things that you need to have in your go bag: a first aid kit, some water, sunscreen if you're going to be out in elements, something to protect your lips. Look, we black, we get ashy. Where the lotion at? Where the shea butters? Um, excuse me. Shampoo, soap, things like that. So you want to make sure that you have those baseline essentials to keep yourself safe. And like I said, big thing here: write phone numbers down. Write them on a piece of paper. And another one that is really important is I knew, and one thing I need to prioritize, because my brother was here, he had the number of one of my friends because we were all hanging out. And so I knew that if he was concerned that he couldn't get a hold of me, he at least had someone's number. But my mom doesn't have numbers of people I know here. She knows names, right? But numbers, they don't. So just like you write those numbers down, you should have, like, whether you put it in the cloud or what have you, a list of local people that your family or friends or trusted person back in the States or wherever you're from has a way of finding out information. When was the last time you spoke to her? Where was she? Things like that. Medications. Thank you, K. Renee. Medications. That's the other thing that's really important. You also need to know, like, what kind of medication do you take? What's the frequency if you ran out of medication? Those are the type of things that you'll need to know. We've all seen in the States, whether it's like, buildings catching on fire and things like that, or widespread disasters like Hurricane Katrina, where people had to literally prove who they were. And when you're in a crisis, what happens is your brain is in fight or flight mode, and it will short circuit your short term and sometimes your long term memory, right? So that's why I said, reason why writing down numbers and committing them to memory the way we used to do back in the day was so important. But now we've kind of bypassed that, and the brain doesn't have that retrieval, and the brain short circuits to some degree when you're in a crisis. It does not always go back. You cannot always access your long term memory. And so it's very important to do these things before you get in an emergency crisis so that when you're in a situation, you're just executing the plan. You're not trying to think of what to do in the fly, right? Be prepared, right? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Okay, that was a lot. Let me drop this link and then I want to go to your questions. So here's the link so that you can download the file. I realized I just needed to update a couple things, but it's good. I should actually do that. Let's see, emergency. I just dropped the link and I didn't name it. Okay, let's try it again. And I will link it in the description of the video. Okay, so let me go to some of the questions that I saw earlier, and then I'll go through the rest. What was the cause of the blackout? We do not know. We were told there's investigations that some have said that it was environmental, right? There has been talk about the fact that that's why renewable, new energy. Some have used it as an opportunistic new energy. How would we have fared, right? If you had a Tesla, for example, electric car would not have saved you. And the roads were packed and no streetlights, right? So you can only go so far until you need a charge. Well, what happens when you can't charge? When multiple countries, it was Spain, France, parts of France, so South France, and all of Portugal. So Portugal apparently gets its energy from Spain because it's cheaper. But that means when what happened Monday happens, it takes us both out. And apparently part of France. So we do not know definitively. Chanel said, it was great to see that folks as a whole were not acting a fool. Yeah, you didn't hear about robberies, murders, theft, nothing crazy, nothing crazy. Yeah, I was feeling fine. I was just kind of like feeling that I was more concerned with after a while, because with time zone difference, that's the other thing. 11 o'clock or 11:30 my time still is early for those on the East Coast where most of my family is. So I was like, this might be over before they wake up, right? It's really like 2-3 o'clock before they're starting to get their day going. So by that time, we were probably like close to 4 or 5 hours in. So I really wasn't worried until I knew they were awake. And I was like, ooh, are they going to be worried? That's kind of where my mind was. But yeah. Yes, it is. It is very vital. It was very vital. I think it's just something that we don't talk a lot. We talk about, excuse me, motivations for moving abroad, what's going wrong in the world, what's going wrong in the States. But when you're actually living it, and this is the biggest and most, because we had an earthquake. We had an earthquake while I was in here. We had an earthquake in Portugal while I was in Asia. And then a few months prior to that, we had an earthquake that I experienced here, which was minor. But even then, like I still hadn't thought about it in the way that I needed to. My training helped, but again, I saw that there was definitely holes in the bucket. And so, and y'all throw some suggestions in the comments. Yeah, if yeah, the whole country, from the top to bottom, we were lights out. Um, yeah, it's so funny. My housekeeper said the same thing when she came yesterday. We were talking about it. She only speaks Portuguese, so but I know words like medo, right? Fear. And so yeah, she was saying that her biggest fear was in the elevator. Yeah, I thought about it. It's like if I was stuck in the elevator for 10 hours, okay. But if I was stuck in the elevator with an animal for 12 hours, no water for her, no water for me. Like she's smaller than me, right? That would not have been pleasant. Not to mention like things that come out of bodies, mammals' bodies. I was like, no. Yeah, it was yeah, like I'm not gonna give everything away about what happens at the Quake Museum, but it's interactive. So it's an earthquake museum. So yeah, went through the whole thing. Yeah. Yes, check your emergency bags. Make sure it's portable. I used to have a portable, I had my backpacks. Um, I did. Apparently, I was warned. I was warned. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. Just said AT&T USB Connect AA1. Okay. Never heard of it, but okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Always. I always have a charger. Um, Um, yeah, it was not helpful to have the conspiracy theories floating around in the midst of a crisis. Like when it's not, it's like, okay, but it's not helpful. Like if you know you're prone to doing that, like just don't. Yeah, I remember the one. I think I was working, yes, I was working at the TV station. I was working at a actually, a couple times, my old general manager occasionally pops in on a live. I was working at a CNN affiliate, and I was in the control room when we had the blackout. And I remember being in the control room because I was master control audio. So I had a little too technical, but anyway, I had like feeds from around the world, and then I had our local feeds, and then it went shoom, and I was like, "What the?" I remember that. I remember that. I was like, "What the hell is that?" Um, yeah, it's funny because I have my phone like Europe. I love Europe, so I have unlimited data, high speed internet, 170 channels, and a landline, which I never use, which now I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should get a landline. And I pay 58 euros a month. So I'm like, maybe I should plug in a phone. But the people I know who have had like physical landlines, they too lost their phones in the blackout. So they had them for a while, but then everything, everything went out. Everything. y'all, y'all got jokes. Oh my gosh, you guys are hilarious. I'm catching up. Uh, Greta said a nightmare on Elm Street. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. Pinky said I keep emergency supplies in my house and car. Yes, I used to do that as well when I had a car. On house sits string lights. Yeah, that's smart. That is so smart. Yeah, foldable solar panel or mylar blankets. Because like I said, especially in the colder months. Um, wow. Yeah, it's so funny. Like some people didn't know. I messaged one of my friends like maybe 2 days later, and she was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Girl, where you been?" Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. Oh man. Um, let's see. Yeah, numbers on the fridge. Yay. I don't know the name of the it's so funny. I don't know the name. It doesn't have a name. But I got it off of Amazon. Oh wait, no. I take it back. Wait, there is a name. It's like it's oh damn. Okay. Like the charger is black and this is like off black font. And my eyes are now getting older. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to type it in the chat what I see. Okay. Wow, I didn't even know it had a name. Okay. Yeah, that's what it says. It says Charmast. Charmast. That's what it says. And it has like everything. I got it off of Amazon. Oh, 3 years ago, because I was in Bali. I did not have one, and someone on the trip had one, and I was like, "Oh, I need that," and bought it when I got back. So yeah, it was 3 years ago. Yes, local maps. That was clutch local maps, and that was the other thing. I was like, I thought like if I had been in El Cortez Inglés, it would have taken me over 2 hours to get from where I was in the city back to where I live. And these boots ain't made for walking that long. Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. I'd have been miserable, okay? Miserable. If I had to walk 2 damn hours, no, no, no. My knees, my legs, mm-mm. I'm pretty active, but yes, make a list. Make a list, and this is like make a list of things that will work for you, right? Like this, use it as a starting point, as a reference point, but you can go and create your own list. Um, yeah, bottled water. The other thing to add to that too, Pinky, is either have bottled water, which I used to. I remember when the pandemic happened, I had my daughter had a go bag, and I had one, so I had bottled water in there. Other thing to have is purifier. So if you exhausted your bottled water, and then you had to go to another source, how do you make water that is questionable, right? Potable. So you need water to drink, of course. You need water to clean your body, maybe wash off vegetables or, wash off dirt, things like that. So you have to think about that. Like if you're walking somewhere and the only source of water is a stream, how do you manage to do that and keep yourself safe? So think about, I think camping stores are really good. I know in Portugal, Decathlon is the main one, but all the stores, I'm giving people like a week, maybe 2 weeks. I know on my list I need to prioritize this, which I am, but I also recognize that while we don't have cash in the ATMs, all of these stores are cleaned out because between the run-on stuff during the crisis and then the people who got caught off guard like myself after the crisis, baby, everything sold out. Everything is sold out. Let's see. Oops, I lost my scrolly. Yeah, the Sea Bliss, they had like Shar had that grill. I am looking at that. I asked her for the link for that. So I am looking for that. I don't know about Sterno. But yeah, I mean, for me, also because of how I eat and what I eat, like I have fresh fruits and vegetables always in the house. So I had banana that day. I remember eating a couple clementine. I had the salmon I had already cooked, so I had half of that left and was refrigerated, but it was cooked already. So I was like, I ate it cold. I had made cucumber salad the day before. So, like I said, I had things, most of the stuff I eat now is fresh because we don't have a lot of um like like fast food. I mean, we have fast food places, but the fast food places we have are US stuff like Domino's and KFC and stuff. And oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. And KFC's outside the building, but no, I don't touch that. Not since last year. When the last time I ate it and I got violently ill, I do not eat that anymore. It was only one time. And there was one ingredient that I am allergic to, and it happened to be in what I ate. And damn it, I never forgot that one. Um, Kenya said during Sandy here in the US Northeast Coast, I used my work vehicle to charge my phone and warm up a bit. Yeah, remember Sandy. Yeah, I remember doing that, charging my phone in the car. Like, oh man. Yeah. Ah, good. Oh, you found it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it wasn't I would imagine it wasn't I don't remember it being expensive now with tariffs. I don't know. I don't know. But when I got it 3 years ago, I think I paid under 20. I think I paid under 20 for it. Okay. So I think I did it. A little over an hour. Okay. Oh, what? Jess said my portable backup generator has plugs, so I plug in the electric kettle and burner. Wow. Pinky said if you have camping equipment, like to hike, or have ever lived in van life, you'll be fine in emergency as long as you have plenty of water and some food. Yeah. Because you figure, like I said, I had tuna, excuse me, tuna, manual can opener. That's another good thing you need to have. Um, I had, bread in the house. I had peanut butter, um, pickles in the fridge. Like I knew certain things in the fridge was going to hold because it was mostly, you know, fruits and vegetables. The only thing that I did throw out, it's so funny. The one thing I had to throw out was I had bought some strawberries, and I think when the fridge didn't get warm, but it got like where it was cold, and then they got like mushy, and I think not the day after, but the day after that, when I went in, it was like, ooh, it's questionable. So I threw them out. But other than that, that was like the only casualty was some strawberries I had in the fridge. But everything else held. Everything else held. Thank you. I appreciate it, Karen. I want to give you guys information that can help you, whether it be for moving abroad or things that you can apply now. Because, like I said, we live in a world that has a lot going on, right? Climate change is real. There are man-made disasters, natural disasters, cyber attacks, a host of things, active war, um, right? Countries grappling for power, and we're in the middle, right? And so, how do you keep yourself safe? How do you keep your loved ones safe? I know I shared this story and I shared this list from the perspective of a solo person. But I hope you understand that if you have more than one person in your family, each person should have a go bag. Each person should have enough water to last them for a certain period of time, right? So you just have to think about that. If you have a baby, formula, things like that, just start to think about how you can tailor this list, how you can tailor this as a jumping off point to how it applies best for your life. All right. Bailey girl is waiting for me. She's been through a lot this week, as have I, but we're going to rock steady. Hopefully, I'll see some of y'all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Listen to the Black Sick Global podcast. Oh, that's right. For those of you who are in Black Sick Global Passport, we have our accountability group on Saturday. So I will see those of you who are members. If you're not a member, come on in, join Black Sick Global Passport, our private community. We have our accountability session, which I run every month. I look forward to it, seeing your faces, hearing your stories, and supporting you on your journey. So if you'd like to chat, come on in, tap in. I'd love to see you. All right. Share this with someone that you think would benefit from it. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I shall see you all soon. All right. Take it easy. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. All right, you guys.